Shalom, all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. B'Shem Chakwadash. My name is Jacobo from Plaintables Camp. This is Vocab Malone interviewed Charles Lyman. I believe he's a little hat, a 48er. And listen what the apostle's saying.
Anyway, this is a guest. The name of the individual, I looked him up. Well, here it is right here. Charles Fane Layman, Manhattan Institute. So he's from New York. And you know what? Let me do. Let me bring this back. And let me just let you listen.
Option would be to say, yes, I am. But you would have them on your...
Right, you see this here. It says not every black is not even a nationality. That's something that's made up, and that's how you know that they're lying. Is because they always coin, the children of the captivity here in the New World as black. All right, and then they just a lot of them leave out the Northern Kingdom, which is so-called Latinos and Native Americans. All right, they continue to label us with those labels. Who thinks that they are descended from the 12 tribes of Israel. They are not raving anti-Sems. So an anti-Sem is someone that doesn't like the descendants of Shem. That will include the Arabs, Chinese and Japanese. All right, which would be Moab and Ammon, along with Ishmael, the Arabs. All right, those mingled people over there in the east.
your survey as a part of the non-black sample, but he's...
Do they represent a real population? Possibly. But it's also the case that, again, when you get people taking surveys, like that kind
of person. Let me read this here. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't think all the ancient Israelites were black. Nobody's black. Nobody's white. The difference is brown. But some were black, and some did go to West Africa, where the slaves came from, per Abu Kamar. Okay, so how do you know? How can Abu or Vocab or Mr. Layman here, how can you point to somebody and say, you're an Israelite, you're not an Israelite? Now remember, the Israelites were scattered throughout the whole planet. So we look like everybody. And he did say that. He mentioned GMS. He said GMS, but not just GMS, other camps too. There's certain people members of GMS that look whiter than him, whiter than you, but would be in the camp because it's not primarily about color. The majority of us have the certain look to us, a certain phenotype, but you're going to have some of us that look just like this individual here or this individual right here. So now let me bring it back a little bit more. Let me see what they say.
What we call the error bars, the margin of error on that is pretty wide.
Right.
So it's hard to get a very precise estimate. Right. It is the template. It's the Old Testament and the New Testament. The story of the Jews and the story of Jesus are the two sort of key stories.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Seen that before. So it is a large.
Because this is what I wanted.
It's there.
It's live.
And then almost extrapolate like, okay, what happens when people hear about it? They're more likely than not to believe in it. And so to me, as a Christian apologist, I see part of this as
Let me bring it back. I'm going to let you hear most of it.
The prophecy of Ezekiel 37.
Oh, good.
Glad you said that. Good. Really jumped out to me is the big skew in that first box over there, which is just that basically ask people at the intensity of their agreement, strongly disagree, somewhat disagree, strongly agree, somewhat agree, strongly agree. And the goal of that is to get them to think about their answers and so give you intensity to overcome acquiescence bias. That kind of works, but
are you talking about that particular graph right there?
Yeah. I always ask in that five format rather than just agree, disagree. And then you also get them neither agree nor disagree so that you don't accidentally collapse people into one or the other.
Is this the most important graph in the report, Charles?
I think in terms of summarizing the key measures.
All right, so if you don't see what I'm looking at, it looks like it says Black Americans, Jews, other groups are directly descended from the ancient Israelites. So I guess this is a survey looking at, I don't know who created the survey. I'm guessing Charles made the survey, put the survey out, or a group he works with. So they're trying to figure out, according to what people believe, black, non-black, which again, black is a made-up nationality. It's not a nationality, but that's what people feel comfortable using. And then their excuse is we don't know, so we use black. All right, well, we don't accept that. The Hebrew Israelites don't accept that answer. So you have in the blue, you says they are black, quote unquote black, and the red is non-black. So I hope you can see that. So that's look like the survey this Charles guy put out, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure, I'd say that one's important, and then the second figure. But the thing that when I first started looking at these data, the thing that really jumped out to me is the big skew in that first box over there, which is just that overwhelmingly my black respondents were much more likely to say yes. Black people are descended from the ancient Israelites. Walking into this, I didn't know what I was going to find.
Right.
I sort of thought maybe there will be no difference. That's why I had a control group, right? Like that's why I had the non-black comparison group, which doesn't show up in the Lifeway survey, because I was like, maybe it's just that lots of people say that. And it turns out there's an independent black effect that being black increases your probability of saying that. And that's interesting. And that says to you there's a real phenomenon going on there above and beyond the non-black population's tendency to agree.
Like the apostle was saying, that they're afraid. That's why they're trying to get the number. They're trying to count us, see how many of us are there. They see the hits that we get on YouTube and other platforms, and they're afraid. As it's written, after 3 days and a half, I believe, that the spirit of life entered into them, and the enemies were frightened or afraid. Fear fell upon them, we're paraphrasing. All right. That's us waking up. Why would they be doing this survey if they didn't give a shit about what we thought? They got this thing, this campaign, the rise of anti-Sem ideologies, which again, they get the anti-Sem thing wrong. All right, that's anybody that descends from Shem, but they've hijacked his group hijacked the word or the phrase. One particular group, which we believe they are the Khazars, which is prophesied to take the land of Israel in the last days. So we believe they are those people of Esau, Edom.
The Hebrew Israelites watching this will say that it's a fulfillment of the prophecy of Ezekiel 37, where the valley of dry bones is there, and Ezekiel sees the dry bones be brought to life in this vision as Yahweh's powers manifest, where the sinews and the muscles come, and there's resurrection, there's life. Hebrew Israelites believe they're in that day.
Which is exactly right. The 48ers are already in the land. They stole the land. All right, for the Americans and the British, they got them in that land. And we are the ones that were spiritually dead. So we came back to life when we found out who we were. And that does not include going back to the land by the powers that be on the earth. It goes, we will go back to the land. The Israelites will go back to the land when the Lord brings us back. Yahweh and the Son Yahweh Shai brings us back supernaturally, not on boats and planes. And just on that, we know it's clear that they are not the people and that we are the people. We're coming back to life spiritually.
Where the valley of dry bones is awakening to that fact. And so they would say something probably like this. Even those Khazars recognize we're in that time where we're in the valley of dry bones, the reawakening according to our scripture. Because Khazar sometimes is a slur that they use to describe a Jewish person.
From Khazar, yeah.
Yeah, the other one that's more specific to One West is Edomite, but that generally covers all white folks, but specifically to Jewish folks, just so you know in the future if you see this, Amalek. They identify specifically Jewish folks because that's a tribe of Esau.
Yes, and that's exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. And he knows about the history. He's not telling him any damn news. He knows. He knows what the history is. He's well studied. He's just a practiced liar. All right. Most Edomites, so-called Caucasian, they're practiced liars. They literally see information and hide the shit. Like they'll go into a museum and see all dark faces, and they walk out and don't say nothing. They have this extraordinary ability to compartmentalize their thoughts and regulate their thoughts throughout their normal day, and what they study in the dark and believe in the dark.
Saw as Amalekites, and that's just a little thing. This is interesting. One question I did like though on the Philos one was that it had people say, some of them said, I've never heard of it before. I thought that was interesting because then you can kind of almost see like an awareness that's there, and then almost extrapolate like, okay, what happens when people hear about it? They're more likely than not to believe in it. And so to me, as a Christian apologist, I see part of this as a proactive defensive measure to inoculate people first with truth so that they don't buy into it. Now, I know that's outside of your interest, so I'm just saying.
Oh, and what I would say is, right, this shows up in my survey too. If you go back to that figure that you pulled up, the most important one, you'll see the biggest spikes in particularly in the first section. In both samples, the biggest proportion is people who said they neither agree nor disagree, which means they neither agreed that black people are descended from the ancient Israelites, nor did they disagree, because they had no idea, in many cases, what I was talking about. Yeah. Like, many people, a substantial proportion of respondents, I think it was like a quarter of my Israelites, quarter of them were right, exactly. They go, what the heck are you talking about? I have no idea. And that's a large portion of the population. I've never seen that before.
And also, thank you, Doki.
Yeah, they're lying. Yeah, I don't believe that. They're lying. And that's not a win. Oh, most people don't even believe. Okay. They or never even heard. Okay, that's a damn. Let me read this. Jeremiah 12:9. Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Those are the other nations. Come, ye assemble all the beasts of the field, come to devour. We look up. That's the nations taking Israel down, destroying our homeland, and selling us into slavery. Putting us in slavery, selling us into slavery. We got speckled birds. I'm looking up. Speckled bird, speckled. We got Tazabawai, colored, variegated, speckled. So he keeps saying it's black. It's not just three groups of people or one phenotype. All right. The Northern Kingdom, so-called Latinos, so-called Native Americans, are of the tribes of Israel. All right. But the strongest proponent in controversy is going to be around the tribe of Judah. Judah, Benjamin, Levi, starting with the tribe of Judah, because the Lord, Yahweh made it that way. Because Judah is the head tribe. So the main point of controversy, or mainly, not all the time, going to be between Judah and Esau, Edom. Yes, the Khazars, Amalekites.
Doki Bible Club for the channel member. I'm going to read this, and if you could comment. A few things emerged from data. One is that black respondents were appreciably more likely than non-black respondents to say that other black people were descended from the ancient Israelites. 43% of the black sample somewhat or strongly agree that black Americans are descended from the Israelites versus 29% of the non-black sample. Wow. 13% of the black respondents somewhat or strongly disagree that Jews are descended from the Israelites versus 6% of the non-black sample. In other words, some people, both black and non-black, will agree with both claims, but agreement with both is about twice as likely in the black population versus the non-black. And that's why scholars, part of this, what you're saying and quantifying here, is why scholars do still call this black Israelism, because the driving factor is that. And then I know you're not doing sort of the...
Well, they can call it that. That's incorrect. The point is that the first people that were going to come back and wake up, the dry bones are going to be full flesh, moisture, going to receive the word, was going to be the tribe of Judah. That's the head tribe. That's who the Lord raised up first. Go to Zechariah 12:7. Says, Yahweh also shall save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. All right, so because of David, and it's really Yahweh's will. All right, it was the Most High's will when Yahweh carried out the blueprint. The Son, he carried out the blueprint. Judah was supposed to be magnified first. Judah was supposed to come up first. Judah is put the fiercest, opponents was going to rise from Judah, the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Judah is, the scripture say, we come from the waters of Judah. The prophecy is, thou art whom thy brother shall praise. All right, Yahweh came from the tribe of Judah. All right, and David's line came from Judah. So Judah is a pinnacle and important. So, and the majority of the ones in America look like dark brown skin, medium brown skin people. All right. So you can call it that, but that's just mere prophecy. All right. Which is incorrect.
The history of the movement. It's
an incorrect name, but hey, you labeling it how you see it. That shows that you don't have the Holy Spirit. All right. You should be saying that, well, okay, they're saying they're from the tribe of Judah, so it makes sense that the prophecies around the tribe of Judah. So these are the people, they look a certain way for the main part in America. So he's basically using that term because that tribe of Judah, looks a certain way, and that's irresponsible. All right. So he basically wants to ignore the other tribes, because it sounds more hateful and aggressive when you put black in front of it. All right, and he's a devil. The Lord he's going to be swept out the way at the proper time.
Movement per se, but when you go back and look at really the Protestants who came out with this because they had visions, Reverend William Christian, who is very rarely mentioned in the literature. Dorman, of course, knows who he is. And William Crowdy, who is frequently mentioned in the literature. F.S. Cherry, who should not be mentioned in the literature as a founding father, but has to do with the whole thing about how he fabricated his bio. But F.S. Cherry is not a founder. He's important, but not a founder. It's interesting to see the developments. Some scholars talk about 4 waves of this thing, and we're in this distinct wave right now that's got an increase with the internet age and certain tensions that have been heightened, and it's really grown as a result of that. And I know you mentioned about people in the corner. I know you're not gauging this stuff, but the sort of moderate or non-One West faction of Hebrew Israelism is really growing, and it's sort of harder to visibly observe as well. But there's a lot more of those.
Yeah, I think I know what he's talking about. Basically, people that they saw us teaching, right? And because we're the ones originally that were the most popular, so they saw us, and then they started just doing their own thing, just doing research and finding stuff and going out, making belly shirt garments, creating their own doctrine, Old Testament only or New Testament only, that are not from One West. And I see that. I see clips, passing clips, Twitter clips, Facebook clips about who we really are, and they don't claim to be from One West. So that part I can see that is growing very rapidly.
Folks, and I think over time we're going to see this religion institutionalize. I think give it a time. You'll see a college, because this always happens, right? BYU. Who would have thought Joseph Smith? Now you'd have BYU, right? But I don't know if you want to comment on that.
No, well, so what I'd say, and this is something I wanted to say earlier. You talk about the origins in.
I'm looking for an opening, y'all. I just want you to listen. I'm looking for an opening. In
English Israelism or Anglo-Israelism, right? This idea that actually the British are the lost tribes, or a lost tribe, and it is helpful that the story of the Jews is it contains this out where it's what happened to 10 of the 12 tribes? We don't know. They just vanished. So it's very.
I'm glad he said that. What happened to the other 10 tribes? Really, it should be 11 tribes, because in the land of Palestine, they call themselves Jews, meaning Judah, unless they mean Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. None of them, some of them call themselves Levi. I'm from Levi. Not too many call themselves Benjamin, although the president, the premier, the leader, the king, Benjamin Netanyahu is, maybe he's saying he's a Benjaminite. Well, that's the name of one of the tribes. So he made a good statement. What happened to the other 10 tribes?
Readily available, but it's also just the case that, like, you know, I feel like I said,
this back a little
people
bit.
in the corner. I know you're not gauging this stuff, but the sort of moderate or non-One West faction of Hebrew Israelism is really growing, and it's sort of harder to visibly observe as well. But there's a lot more of those folks, and I think over time we're going to see this religion institutionalize. I think give it a time. You'll see a college, because this always happens, right? BYU. You know, who would have thought Joseph Smith? Now you'd have BYU, right? But I don't know if you want to comment on that.
No, well, so you know what I'd say, and this is something I wanted to say earlier. You know, you talk about the origins in English Israelism or Anglo-Israelism, right? This idea that actually the British are the lost tribes, the lost tribe, or a lost tribe, and you know.
So you can understand what he's talking about is a Christian identity movement featured in the Megiddo report. I have the whole report. The Megiddo report. You can go on. You can get on PDF file. The whole report, Megiddo, before the year 2000. They mentioned the Christian identity movement, which another term or label is for Christian identity movement is a British Israelism, meaning that the 12 tribes are different Europeans, like the Danish are one tribe. That's the tribe of Dan. Manasseh is the people of England and the white people of America. This was made popular during the time of the World Tomorrow. I forget the guy's name. He died years ago. He was up in age any damn way. I forget his name, but he had a book, and it broke down that book. And I actually ordered the book. I got the book. They don't charge you for it. And they say, you know, the different Europeans scattered throughout the world, those are the different tribes.
It is helpful that the story of the Jews is like it contains this out where it's like, what happened to 10 of the 12 tribes? We don't know. They just vanished. So it's very.
They mainly came to North, Central, and South America, and also scattered throughout the world. Like I said in the past, said in many videos, that when Christopher Columbus came over here to the New World, that's why this is called the New World, as opposed to the Old World, the people that he encountered were Israelites, were the 10 tribes. And many of the people, and you can do the research, don't go by my word, do the research yourself. When the religious, I'll say fathers, the church fathers of the Europeans that came over here to the Americas, a lot of them said these are Israelites. And a lot of them knew that these were the 10 tribes.
Very readily available.
So we're going to get Revelation, I think it's 11. So that's some of what they're talking about. So they are curious to what the so-called blacks are thinking in America, all right, because they're in great fear. He's smiling right now, you know. It's an agenda behind that survey. Just don't think it's just a coincidence. He's just, you know, we're just slightly interested or greatly interested. No, they understand something is about to happen, and they're going to be affected. Revelation 11:11, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the power entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. Ezekiel 37, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. All right, let's go to Ezekiel 37 real quick. Just make sure that's right. Vision of the valley of dry bones. Okay? So this is us coming back to life. That makes exactly with Revelation 11:11. So if this ain't Let me guess. This is talking about. Of course, what they would say. Oh, this is talking about everybody. All right. And they are the peoples and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies be put in graves. Yeah, this is America. It's the other nations that got together and kept a secret about who we really are. All right, and the temple that is without. Go to the second verse. Was given to the Gentiles. Let's see. Measure it not. It was given to the Gentiles. Okay, so that's a separation between the Israelites. All right, starting with the elect and the other people that are not Israelites. So again, the what we call the New Testament, the writings of the New Testament, speak about separation. Only the elect. Everybody else is going to be burnt up in the fire if you dwell here in New Egypt, New Sodom. All right. So I'll leave that there. Or you can check the rest of the Apostles video out. Vocab interviews 48er about the Israelites, New Jersey soldiers, and Middle East region. Okay, so there's a lot there. It's over an hour long. So if you want some more information, just check his video out. All right. They are afraid. They're not talking about us because it's for educational purposes only. They're talking about us because they know something is about to happen within these next coming years. All right, hopefully it's very soon that the World War III, the RFID microchip, mark of the beast, famines, cities being cut off, and the elect receiving their / our spiritual power. So hope you edified. Shalom.